Hello and welcome to your Wednesday One show with Clara Amfo
and Laura Laverne. We are live on BBC One and iPlayer, and with the EastEnders 40th celebrations continuing with an hour-long episode right after us, we have got a very special guest in the studio. He's been on the credits of every single episode since the show began in 1985. But what exactly is his role? We will find out later.
Watchdogs Matt is also in the studio. And Matt, you've got a story where cold boilers are making customers' blood boil.
Absolutely. On the day when we are being told energy bills are expected to rise by £85 a year for a typical household, we're on the case of a boiler company adding yet more monthly misery for some of its customers. Also, the hugely popular online fashion retailer that's leaving you chasing store credit and refunds. Plus, your rights when it comes to your whites. That's your washing machines, tumble dryers, not your delicates.
Thank you, Matt. Also, on the sofa, between them, they've starred alongside some of the biggest names in Hollywood, including Reese Witherspoon in The Morning Show and Dakota Johnson in The Lost Daughter. But tonight, Gugu Mbatha-Raw and Oliver Jackson-Cohen are teaming up to tell us about the return of their psychological thriller, Surface.
And DJ Nick Grimshaw will be here too, ahead of his new role hosting The Breakfast Show on 6 Music, a programme very close to my heart. And I have a little present for him that I think might come in handy.
Oh, can't wait to see. Plus, Mike Dilger and his son Zachary explore Devon's beautiful underwater world as they go in search of a fabulous little fish.
Really is fabulous, quite punk, technicolor. Yeah. But first, it's Watchdog with Matt, who's kicking off tonight with a hot topic.
I am indeed. Having reliable heating in our homes is so important at this time of year. So when the boiler packs in, it's important that the company you've paid to get it working does the job. And that's not been the case for some customers. A warm home is a happy home. So having your heating system installed and maintained for a monthly fee feels like a no-brainer.
With hassle-free boilers, you get a brand new boiler installed. You get full cover for repairs, radiators and pipework, and a yearly boiler service.
With a name like Hassle-Free Boilers, you might expect this company to do exactly what it says on the tin. But then this tin may be past its sell-by date. Bex from Wrexham had her boiler installed by Hassle-Free Boilers in 2016, and she agreed a 12-year contract, paying over £50 a month.
The cover was simply that the boiler, if it broke down, would be made to work again.
What did they say about the availability of their helpline?
That in their contract, they said it was going to be a 365-day-a-year, 24-hour helpline.
On top of that, Bex's contract says the company aims to send an engineer out to fix any issues within a day if anything goes wrong. And at first, she was happy with the company. But in September last year, Hassle-Free Boilers sent an engineer round to Bex's home to do an annual service. And 2 weeks later, the boiler cut out and was leaking water.
Hassle-Free Boilers did confirm in their email that the damage had actually been done by the original service engineer.
The company then organised for the manufacturer to inspect Bex's boiler. One of its engineers replaced some of the parts, but told her the boiler was not fit for use. So how long have you been using a boiler that the manufacturer says you shouldn't be using?
Since the 17th of October last year.
Bex has told us she's been chasing Hassle-Free Boilers by email since that date, but so far had no response. We've seen reports of dozens of other Hassle-Free Boilers customers who've also struggled to get a response. And despite the promise of a 24-hour hotline, its website now shows its phone lines are only open 4 hours a day, Monday to Friday. What would the case be if you had an emergency here? How confident would you be?
I wouldn't be.
Keen to get our issues resolved, Bex is going to try and call them during those opening hours.
Sorry, but we are unavailable right now.
So this is a dead end then, really, in terms of getting your situation resolved?
It doesn't matter how many messages I leave them, I never seem to get a response.
So that's a helpline that's open for 4 hours of the day on weekdays, and even when you do call it during those very limited times, you can't get through. Just as well it's not an emergency. Ashley from Oldham had a boiler fitted by Hassle-Free Boilers in 2016. He pays over £40 a month for a 12-year contract, which covers annual services and repairs. But in January this year, Ashley's boiler broke down, leaving him with no heating and in freezing conditions, along with his fiancée and one-year-old daughter.
So I rang him a few times, it played a little tune and then said voicemail doesn't exist anymore. I thought I'll ring up again, and up to this day I've not received any letters, phone calls.
Where are you at now? What have you done?
I've had to dig into my own pocket to get an engineer to come out, so in total that cost me £210.
We contacted Hassle-Free Boilers. It said that it had escalated Bex's case to the manufacturer as it was the best way to ensure a certified engineer handled the repair, and that the delays Bex experienced were indicative of an industry-wide issue rather than a company-specific one. It said that the issue with Bex's boiler flue didn't present any danger to the occupant's health and safety, and that the company has arranged an appointment to correct this issue. It's in touch with Bex regarding additional compensation. In Ashley's case, it said that it acknowledges that during peak winter months its phone lines can become congested and that customers should email or use the website when this happens. It said it had recently experienced staff shortages and was working to improve accessibility, but that it has reached out to Ashley to apologise and schedule an appointment with its engineers to ensure his system is functioning correctly, as well as refunding him for the work he arranged independently.
Hassle-Free Boilers. You can't give your loyal fee-paying customers the cold shoulder when they need you most. It throws their lives into turmoil. The clue's in the name. If you're more hassle than you're worth, then maybe you should be carrying the can.
And remember, if you find yourself in hot water with any company, we are here to help. Get in touch, watchdog@bbc.co.uk, at BBC Watchdog on the socials. We want to know about your boilers, your washing machines, your tumble dryers. If they fail, who you're going to call?
Well, Watchdog, obviously.
Yeah.
So, Matt, if I bought any of those products you mentioned and it turned out they were faulty, you know, being relatively new, what are my rights?
OK, there are three options here. Depends on how long you've had the item. If a product turns out to be faulty in the first 30 days of purchase, you are entitled to a full refund, no questions. If you've had it up to 6 months, you have the right to a repair, replacement. If they fail, a refund. But if you find a fault after 6 months, then the burden tends to be on you to prove the fault existed when the product was supplied. A guiding principle, though, all goods are supposed to last a reasonable period of time.
But what does reasonable mean? I mean, how long should a dishwasher last?
Yes, it's a great question. It depends on how much you spend and how much you use it. With normal use, it averages out to be about 10 years for most appliances. But here's a very interesting thing. Some manufacturers and retailers go even further, and they tell you on their websites how long they expect their appliances to last. Check their websites out. If you've used the thing responsibly, you've cleared out the fluff filters, all of that stuff, and they don't live up to their own promise, you can quote back their own words to them. Also, don't forget to register your appliance so that your warranty is valid, and if there are any recalls, you'll know about them. But now we're going to switch from white goods to White Fox Boutique, the online fashion company.
Oh, yes, very popular with the teenagers, I know.
So I hear. We've been hearing from a number of customers who say, despite returning their orders, the refund or store credit they were due was nowhere to be seen. Clara.
OK, so we have Tammy. She got in touch. She ordered a tracksuit on the 14th of December as a Christmas present for her daughter. When the order arrived, it was too big, so the same day, Tammy processed a return. Now, despite getting a confirmation email, Tammy didn't get the store credit she requested. She chased numerous times, but all she received was an automatic reply stating a busy sales period.
OK, not a good look, White Fox, but wait, because there's more. Jordan's also been in touch. Lauren.
Yes, so on the 19th of December, Jordan ordered a skirt for New Year's Eve. When it arrived a few days later, it didn't fit, so she asked for a return. On the 28th of December, White Fox Boutique confirmed via email that it had received her return and would be processing it. But despite her chasing and even contacting them on social media, the store credit didn't appear in Jordan's account.
Oh dear, computer says no. White Fox's own website says refunds or store credits should be with customers within 3 business days after the item is back with them. Well, we are asked the company why it was taking so long to deliver store credit and why email seems to be ignored. It said that customers are its top priority and that it's committed to providing the best possible experience. It's continually seeking ways to improve its services. However, it had experienced significant growth in the UK and its staffing levels didn't accommodate the rapid expansion, but it is implementing substantial improvements. Well, style this out, people. Since we got involved, Tammy has now not only received her store credit, but reordered the clothes, and we're pleased to say her daughter is now one happy 12-year-old. She's back on track in her new trackie.
Thank you, Matt. Watchdog all day. Still to come, Mike Dilger and his son Zachary brave the elements in Devon as they go in search of creatures great and small. Plus, Nick Grimshaw will be revealing how he manifested his career in radio.
But first, Oliver Jackson-Cohen and Gugu Mbatha-Raw's psychological thriller Surface is set to return to our screens. Now, in season 1, we saw Gugu's character Sophie try and piece her life back together after a traumatic fall left her with amnesia. But as discoveries were made, secrets and lies were revealed.
And season 2 is set to be just as dramatic. Let's take a look.
I've been looking everywhere for you.
My mother died when I was very young.
How did she die?
She was murdered. I have to go back to where it all started. With you. With your family.
What do you remember about your mother?
I think the Huntleys were involved with her death.
You can't fight my family. You'll never win.
Leave us alone before it gets a lot worse.
I need to find out the truth.
Joining us now are Oliver Jackson-Cohen, Gugu Mbatha-Raw and Nick Grimshaw. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nick, we're going to be talking about your brand new radio show shortly. Gugu, let's get into it. Season 2, lots of twists and turns. Sophie's back, she's undercover. She's investigating her own life. So what can you tell us about what she might be finding out?
Oh, yes. Well, it's so exciting to be filming season 2 in London. Season 1 was in San Francisco and we shot in Vancouver. And this season, the show really opens up. We have a much bigger British cast, not just Oliver, but Frida Pinto, Phil Dunster, and a huge cast. And it's really an exciting mystery thriller. This season, Sophie is trying to take down this privileged aristocratic family called the Huntleys that she feels she's somehow connected to. And and we get to be in London, and you know the show is bigger and so much more exciting.
Oh, fantastic. Even bigger, even more exciting for the next season. So, Oliver, you played James. Now, he's not exactly trustworthy, but there's more to him than just being a villain, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the show as a whole, you know, you never really know who to trust. And that's kind of the fun of the show, is that you sort of go down one avenue with someone and then it gets kind of turned on its head. So all the characters kind of live in this grey area. And James, sort of is back for revenge after his wife's left her and basically runs a truck through her life, as every loving husband does. So, yes.
We get to sort of have this sort of cat and mouse kind of game relationship. You know, I think, you know, season 1, Sophie was trying to sort of figure out if she could trust James, and now, you know, he's out for revenge, and they're sort of, you know, have this much more antagonistic kind of game going on.
Hey, what relationship is perfect? Do you know what I mean? Gugu, you are also an executive producer on the show. How is it juggling the role as, you know, being an actor and an exec?
It's a lot more work, but I've really, really loved the journey, and I think it's been a real privilege to have that influence and also be a part of the pre-production stage. You know, the scripts being developed, and then also post-production, the editing. I've just learnt so much, and obviously with Hello Sunshine, our production company, which is Reese Witherspoon's company. So I've got a fantastic mentor figure in her there.
Gugu, you said you were pleased to be filming in London this time because you were in San Francisco last time, but I would have thought quite handy that you used to be a tour guide in London. Location-wise, was this useful?
Yeah, it was. When I was at drama school, I was a tour guide on the London Eye and also their river cruise experience, which used to go along the Thames, all the way along the South Bank, all the way down to Tower Bridge. And we actually have some scenes right in front of Tower Bridge in the show.
Were you thinking of facts?
kept coming back to it. I was like, oh, the Traitors Gate, something happened there. But, you know, it was really kind of crazy because on some of the days where we were filming on the Millennium Bridge, I actually saw my old tour boat go by underneath us. And it was just this crazy sort of full circle moment, doing this really intense scene as Sophie, and then seeing my boat that I used to work on was really meaningful.
I love it. Some tourists out there's probably got a picture with Google. Now, Oliver, let's get to you. Acting when you first started, 14 years old. Your first role was in Hollyoaks, right?
It was, yes. Yes, it was. And I remember thinking, wow, this is it. This is going to start. And then I didn't work again for another 6 years. But it was, yes, they used to do these like late night. It was like a big thing at the time.
Yeah.
And so I played a waiter in one of those. And I remember going back to school the following day being like that.
Kind of a big deal, was in Hollyoaks?
Is it? No one cared.
Well, I have to say, Oliver, we care, but also we have to let you know that you're not the only one on the sofa who has appeared in Hollyoaks, because let's take a look at this, shall we?
This is so mean.
I mean, the celebrant's not even here yet.
So sorry I'm late. My mother wouldn't let me leave home without a winter coat.
It's fine, honestly.
This must be little Ant and Dec.
Well, it's Dee Dee. She's a little girl.
Wow.
Nick,
acting.
I had no idea you were
Well,
a
I've always loved to act. That didn't get mentioned to me, by the way.
What's the story behind it?
Till about 5 to 7, they were like, "You're going on," and by the way, we're going to show that Hollyoaks clip. I was like, "What?" That was a thing that Radio 1 had me do, where I starred in a soap every night. So I did all the soaps, and that was my biggest role in Hollyoaks. That one sentence.
So you were playing yourself, or no? It was like a cameo.
That was a very different character, Gugu.
He was in character, Gugu.
Myself, but every
That's
night.
it.
Wow.
Yeah, no, so like I was a street cleaner in EastEnders.
Okay.
I had like a morning Jeff. That was that. And then in Hollyoaks, I was late for a wedding or something.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Robbed of a BAFTA, this one.
Robbed,
truly.
robbed.
Now, Oliver, you're going to be in the upcoming BBC miniseries, Towards Zero. This is based on an Agatha Christie classic.
Yeah.
Some may say fans are going to be shocked by this adaptation.
Yeah, I feel like it's quite a bold adaptation. I mean, it's very much staying within the Christie world, but it's the premise of it is kind of bonkers. It's about a sort of tennis champion who goes through this sort of big divorce, this scandalous divorce, and remarries, and then decides to bring his ex-wife and his new wife to his aunt's house for the summer. And then, obviously, chaos ensues.
We cannot wait.
But Angelica Houston plays our sort of matriarch, and she is sensational.
We are in. We will be
Absolutely.
there. For now, Surface returns for its second series on Apple TV Plus from Friday, and Towards Zero starts on BBC One from the 2nd of March, and all episodes will be available to view on iPlayer. Now, Nick, Monday, big day for you, also for me, the start of a new job. Would you like to share with the group?
Yes, so Monday morning, I will be starting the new breakfast show on 6 Music, formerly of the Lauren Laverne parish. Is that what we say?
I did it for 6 years.
I think so,
yes,
yeah,
I
6
hosted
years.
it.
And then you're going to be starting a brand new show at 10 o'clock. And yeah, we've talked about this for a little while, and now the day is happening. It's going to be happening Monday morning from 7 a.m.
I have a little present for you.
Okay.
I think it might come in handy.
Okay.
Smell these beans.
Oh, yeah, urgently need, because I'd not really thought about the wake up until today, really, when I was like, wow, it's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you. Wow, I can smell them already.
Coffee beans, they're very fragrant.
This is it. Like, Grim, are you
I'll
enjoying...
eat these.
Take them
Might
home
be a
and
sandwich.
finish.
Yeah, a
Be
little
careful of the mic.
sandwich. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on becoming a morning person again? Because obviously, iconically did the Radio 1 breakfast show, now this...
I do like the mornings. I never thought I was a morning person, and I was obviously one when I worked at Radio 1, and then that sort of continued. I do like to get up early. I mean, not that early, but you know.
But you were always listening. You would message in, and so then when I was off sick, it was natural for you to step in for me.
Yeah, I felt like it was. Covering for you was such a treat. Quite scary because I, listened to you every day and would also bother you for a shout out most days, which will continue from 10.
Good.
So I was such a 6 Music fan and love listening to you and listening to great music first thing in the morning. It's the best thing for me to start my day with. So and I'm excited about it for sure. I really can't wait to get going now because I sort of covered for a few months, so it feels less terrifying. I feel because we've kind of done it.
Yeah, you did all right.
Yeah.
Lots of people messaging in about your first week.
Yes.
Lots of people very excited to hear you and to see what you're going to do. The main thing is, who and what can we expect from your first week on the show?
So loads of great music, loads of great guests. We have coming to see us in the first week, Paul Simonon from The Clash. Goldie is coming to see us.
Right.
And we've also got Shy Girl coming in, Beth Ditto on a Friday. Felt appropriate.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's going to be a fun old week, yeah.
That's kind of like full Six Music squad.
Yeah, the full gang.
Nick, is it true that you manifested a career in radio?
Yeah, I don't think that word was invented in the 90s, but I think now looking back, it was. Like, I always loved the radio and specifically loved, like, wanting to do the Radio and Breakfast show when I was a kid. And I would, like, look on my dad's A to Z of London and look where Radio 1 was. Cool teenager. and then think, oh, I'd probably work there and get the tube there. And like, I think I'd been to London once when I was like 3, but I did like the A to Z planning of it. So yeah, it's a bit weird really, isn't it? A bit witchy.
Worked out though.
Yeah.
But if it works, don't knock it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now listen, we're also going to be together next month in Manchester for the Six Music Festival, which is going to be so exciting. Incredible music city, brilliant history, and of course you grew up going to gigs there. What was your first?
My first ever gig, Claire, my cousin, took me to the Prodigy at the G-Mix.
That's a good start.
It was a really good start. And then my mum, I think it was the next night or 2 nights after, took me to the Brand New Heavies. So I had a real mix there. So my cousin, took me to the Prodigy and it blew my mind. And I think, it definitely set me off on a musical journey and wanting to work in music. And as you say, the city is so proud of music and such a great musical heritage. So I'm really happy we're going back, yeah.
Excellent taste from the Grimshaws and Manchester in general.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, you can tune in to Nick on the BBC Six Music Breakfast Show from 7 a.m. on Monday.
Lots of lovely messages coming in from viewers. Oh, we're going straight on.
Oh, we're going straight on,
No
actually.
time. Still to come.
Busy show, lots going on.
But thank you for those.
Please.
With EastEnders celebrating an incredible 40 years on screen this week, we have a real treat on the way when we can reveal the connection our mystery guest has with the show.
But first, Mike Dilger and his son Zachary have been in search of a treat of their own down in Devon.
Whatever the weather, nothing beats a coastal adventure with my 11-year-old son Zachary. There is a gorgeous-looking fish down here in Devon that me and Zachary have been checking out online.
And I'd love to see one, for real.
I am so glad you said that, because we're in the right place. Marine biologist Paul Naylor has been diving and snorkelling off Wembury Beach for 44 years. He's the go-to for an incredible little fish called the Tompot Blenny. Why is the Tompot Blenny so special?
There are lots of things. It looks so cool, doesn't it? And it's charismatic and got complex behaviour. The male actually guards the eggs for several weeks, but what makes it really fascinating is that you could recognise individuals from their markings.
Paul has built up a following on social media and often posts about the comings and goings of the Blennies in South Devon.
So you've seen them online. What caught your eye about Tompot Blennies?
Oh, I really like the little tentacles on top of their head, almost look like reindeer antlers.
He likes hanging out in nooks and crannies.
They live in a crevice. The male has a little crevice territory. You might find them in the lowest rock pools on a very low tide, but normally you'd have to snorkel or dive to see them.
We're always up for a bit of snorkelling, and you don't have to venture far to spot Blennies. Heads under. We're immediately immersed in an underwater world. We're about 20 metres out, and the water isn't particularly deep. Zachary spots some wrasse. These pattern fish can vary widely in colour and size. And then, in amongst the rocks, a Blenny, just like we've been following online.
That was so amazing.
Oh, did you see it on the rock? That's a common Blenny or Shanny. It was sat right up on the rock. We're going to head a bit further out, and Paul's joining us. He goes a bit deeper and finds a Tompot Blenny guarding a crevice. He can't resist grabbing a few photos for his collection. Oh, what? I can understand why you're so obsessed with this creature. What a beauty.
They're amazing, aren't they?
This little TV aerial sticking out of his head. Blenny's sorted. We also want to sneak in some rock pooling before the weather and tide turn. we've brought along a simple bit of kit that helps us see below the surface.
It's called an aquascope. So if you stick it into the water, see what you see.
It's so clear. And I don't have to get my face wet.
Whoa! Look at that. I think that's the common prawn, isn't it? With the stripes on its head. I have to say, Zachary, I enjoy the snorkelling, but I like the rock pooling more.
And then we get lucky.
Oh, Zachary! Come and have a look at this.
What is that?
It's actually a pipefish. Can you see its little nose at one end? That is a brilliant find. I've hardly ever seen these before.
That's so cool.
With rain about to stop play...
What's that, Daddy?
Oh, put it there. Find of the day.
A jellyfish.
These special marks on it look like the ordinal points on a compass. It's called a compass jellyfish.
And the red dot in the middle.
Yeah, and underneath, you see those little translucent things there?
Yeah.
They're the stinging tentacles, and that's the way it catches its prey, and they can cause quite a sting. You know, that's what I like about rock pooling. You just never know what we're going to see, do you? Should we get our feet dry?
Yes.
Hot chocolate?
Yes.
Come on. Hope this gets back into the open sea, though. Good luck, jellyfish.
Bye-bye.
Oh, it's just adorable. I hope they do that together forever. Now, it's a very special week for EastEnders, celebrating 40 years on screen, and someone who has been on the credits of every single episode is Simon May. Welcome, Simon. Please
Thank you.
reveal your connection to EastEnders.
I'm a composer, songwriter, and I wrote the theme to EastEnders.
I mean, that is iconic. What a great party starter conversation. So, you were asked to write this theme back in 1985. How did it come about?
Tony Holland, one of the two creators of EastEnders, phoned me up. I'd written music for 2 of his drama shows that he was script editor on. He said, Simon, I'd love you to come in and meet Julia Smith. We're developing a new drama series for BBC called E8.
E8?
E8, yeah, the postal code. It's a bit posher nowadays, but it was the model for the square. And we'd love you to write the theme song.
So your first attempt, though, didn't go down too well. What happened?
Well, Julie and Tony told me that the show was going to be very dark and edgy. So when I wrote my first demo, it was a dark, edgy piece, no melody or just very atmospheric. And I took it back to Julia and Tony, and I could see when they were listening to it on their cans, there was a stern expression on Julia's face. She took her cans off and said, Simon, that is exactly what we don't want. So I said, OK, no problem, Julia. In that case, that's a really good brief. I'll write something that's the opposite of what I've just brought you. And something very melodic, bringing people in from the garden and the kitchen, and that's the current EastEnders theme.
Classic was born.
Truly, and right, fast forward to 2025, you now have an incredible job. You're a music teacher in a specialist school. What do your kids think about the fact that you are the guy behind the theme tune?
Well, it's great, actually. I work one day a week at Unstead Park School, special needs school for Asperger's kids. And I always remember, not so long ago, one of my kids said to me at the end of an afternoon period, he said, Simon, get a move on. You're going to be late for EastEnders. I said, what? He was under the mistaken impression that every time EastEnders is broadcast, I have to go to Elstree to play the theme live.
Well, it technically is going to be live very, very soon.
This is the first time, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, there we go.
It will be live.
Simon is going to be playing that iconic theme tune for us in just a moment, and do stay tuned for that hour-long episode right after the show. And thank you so very much to all of our guests this evening.
Alex and Roman will be back tomorrow, but for now, Simon, take it away.